Welcome to Super Fast Tortoise, and this video is my top 10 cards from Zendikar Rising for Cube and Commander. What makes this top 10 list? Well, I made a list of rules. 1. The card must support existing strategies. 2. The card must fit both Commander and Cube. 3. The card must be inventive for its colors. 4. Is an improvement on something else. 5. The card can fit in different decks. And no reprints. Now for some honorable mentions. And in Zendikar Rising, there are a lot of great cards. A lot, actually. I'm pretty impressed with the flavor of the set. But even all the cards I wanted are not on the honorable mentions list either. So I put the best of the cards I liked in the honorable mentions before the top 10. Starting with Akum Hellhound, then we have Belaged Recovery, Cherix the Raging Isle, Lithiform Engine, which is busted people say, Valakut Awakening, Yasharn Implacable Earth, and Omnath Locust of Creation. All these cards make the honorable mention because they really speak to me as a Magic player. Coming in at number 1, we have Lithiform Blight. This enchantment aura is amazing. It cantrips when it comes into play, costs only 2 mana, and it changes a land to tap, pay 1 life, and add 1 mana of any color. And in black, this card is insanely good. Now, it's not going to break formats, but it's going to fix a lot of issues. I mean, in green has Abundant Growth, Nalia's Presence, and Urban Utopia, which effectively do near the same thing without the loss of life. But in black, you only have Vesperghoul. So this card is an improvement for its color. Coming in at number 2, you have Roiling Regrowth. 2 generic and a green instant. You sacrifice a land and search your library for 2 basic land cards and put them on the battlefield tapped. This is just like Harrow and Spring Bloom Druid. But the difference between Harrow and Roiling Regrowth is that when Roiling Regrowth is countered, you do not have to sacrifice that land. This card is an improvement, and also will fit in with decks that run Crucible of Worlds and Raminep Excavator. Yes! And coming in at number 3, we have Maddening Cacophony. This sorcery spell is only on the list because I believe you can officially start putting mill in Cube and Commander. This card is breaking waves and adding to the roster of cards you can have in both Cube and Commander. Let's look at this mill list I brought up here. You have Consuming Aberration, Memory Erosion, Fraying Sanity, Glimpse the Unthinkable, Bruvak the Grandiloquent, Traumatized Jace's Erasure, Physic Corrosion, Sphinx's Tutelage, Nemesis of Reason, and this is not all the cards I could find. These are a list of cards that can go both in Cube and Commander. On top of that, this is really good for the Reanimator spells when you're triggering off your opponent's graveyard with cards like Reanimate, Vulture Zombie, the Haunt of Hightower, and Animate Dead. This card will fit in different strategies. I love it, and it's at number 3. Coming in at number 4, we have Magmatic Channeler, a 2-drop 1/3 that says, as long as there are 4 or more instant and or sorcery cards in your graveyard, it gets +3/+1. Then has tap, discard a card, exile the top 2 cards of your library, then choose one of them, and you may play that card this turn. We need this card right now. We need this card right away. This card has been needed forever. It is a red looter effectively, even though people call this ability rummage. And to rummage the top 2 cards by discarding a card at the top of your hat ability, where you can choose to do it yourself and not have to go around rules text or other ways to get the ability to rummage, is great. Having the power to decide when to rummage is amazing. See, blue has Thought Carrier, Jace's Vern's Prodigy, Merfolk Looter. All these looters are really strong. Blue gets it. Now, blue also has Magmatic Channeler in the Is It Spells Matters deck, and that's pretty solid. Red has Dismissive Pyromancer, Mad Prophet, and Abbot of Carol Keep. Yeah. Abbot of Carol Keep is a great card. Mad Prophet costs 4 mana. Dismissive Pyromancer, you have to pay mana to use its abilities. Magmatic Channeler is an improvement on all these cards, will fit in the decks all these cards go into, and make the Spells Matters deck way better. This is the card we needed. Luminarch Aspirant comes in at number 5. Luminarch Aspirant costs a generic white and is a 1/1 puny human. At the beginning of your combat, on your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control. This can either be itself, it can be another creature, and I really like the flavor of this card. And why? Because I am a Bant sap. Also, like Celestia Voltron 2. This card will fit in Rafik of the Mini decks, Dromoka of the Eternal decks, Shalai Voice of Plenty decks, Janara Azura of War decks, both Commander and Cube. This card is amazing for the rate it's going for. Now, it's not broken, it's not crazy, it's simplistic, and that's why I love it. And it has counter support like Abzan Battle Priest, Rishgar Pima Renegade, Abzan Falconer, and if you didn't think I was going there, Boros Counters Matters will fit this card in the deck just as well with Legion Warboss, Falconwrath Marauders, Dromkirk Noble, Bloodcrazed Neonat. This card is both aggro and mid-rangey, and I love it. Coming in at number 6, we have Phyllis, somethingeth. We're just going to say Phyllis, World Sculptor. 6 mana 5/5 that when he enters the battlefield, you put a 0/1 green plant creature token onto the battlefield for each basic land you control. He has landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you put 4 +1/+1 counters on a plant creature you control. I like Phyllis, however you say his name, I like him a lot. Very reminiscent of Avenger of Zendikar, where Avenger put all the spread on all the tokens. This one only focuses on a single plant at a time. Still good. This card is really solid just as a creature by itself, and what you really want is all the tokens. And in the right build, in Cube or Commander, you'll get a ton of tokens. And that's what you want. Blockers for days. And even in Cube, putting 4 +1 counters on a 0/1 plant token to make it a 4/5 is really strong. So this card is great all around and makes the number 6 spot. Flying in at number 7, we have Nighthawk Scavenger. 1 generic, 2 black, Vampire Rogue, has flying, death touch, lifelink. Wait, is this Vampire Nighthawk? He has more text on him. Nighthawk Scavenger's power is equal to 1 plus the number of card types among cards in your opponent's graveyard. This is an improvement to Vampire Nighthawk. Nighthawk Scavenger is a really good card and will either replace Vampire Nighthawk in decks and cubes or be added to be a second edition. This card is an improvement on Vampire Nighthawk, even though that card did not need any improvement. It was really solid as a removal creature with lifelink. We are proud to have Nighthawk Scavenger at our number 7 slot. At number 8, we have Nessa of Shadowed Bows. 2 generic, black, green, 4 loyalty. We have a legendary planeswalker, Nessa. Her first ability, landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, put a loyalty counter on Nessa of Shadowed Bows. That's really great and spicy. +1, untap target land you control. You may have it become a 3/3 elemental creature with haste and menace until end of turn. It's still a land. -5, you may put a creature creature card with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of lands you control onto the battlefield from your hand or your graveyard with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. This card's insane! I love this card. I want this card in my cube and decks right now. She's unique. There are no cards like her. That puts her at number 8. At number 9, we have a Shia, Soul of the Wild. 3 generic, 2 green, star, legendary creature elemental. A Shia's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. Non-token creatures you control are forced lands in addition to their other types. Wow. This card is nuts. Not only is power and toughness are equal to the amount of lands you control, it turns all your creatures into mana derps, and is a mana derp in itself. Think about this. Cyclonic Rift says return all non-land permanents to their opponent's hands, right? If your opponent has this card, you cannot return their creatures to their owner's hand. This card is insane. A Shia Soul of the Wild is an amazing card and deserves to be at the number 9 spot. And at number 10, we have Phyllis Retreat. This 3 generic 1 white enchantment with landfall that gives you 2 abilities to choose from. 1, create a 2/2 white cat beast creature token, or 2, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, and those creatures gain vigilance until end of turn. This card is stronger than it looks, based just on the second choice alone. The tokens are great, the spread counters are amazing, and the vigilance factor pushes this card to the top. This card, I believe, is going to be underrated because all the enchantment removal people believe is out there, and there's a lot of it. This card has to be dealt with before it gets crazy. Yes, it relies on creatures, and yes, it makes 2/2 cat white creature beast tokens, but this card fixes a lot of problems. Fits in Celestia decks, fits in bat decks, fits in any deck that needs it, that runs white. This card is right on top at number 10, Phyllis Retreat. And that brings us to the end of the video. Thanks for joining me on this adventure of top 10s in Zendikar Rising. Thanks for watching. Please like this video, subscribe if you like my content, and hit that bell so you are notified when I come out with a new video. And in the comments, let me know what your favorite card is from Zendikar Rising.